We can move on to our final speaker, Dr. Mary Grace Maribao from Dallas South University, Tasmania, Philippines. Great, very nice to have you, Mary. So Mary will share with us on assessment of river ecosystem health, this uh, physiochemical analysis, heavy metal detection, and community-based conservation initiative. So the floor is yours, Mary.
Good morning, everyone. I'm I'm here to share with you the findings of my research entitled Assessment of River Ecosystem Health, Physicochemical Analysis, Heavy Metal Detection, and Community-Based Conservation Initiatives. Now, a thorough environmental assessment, including measuring the severity of the issue, is essential for effectively addressing or reversing contamination within a catchment area. And assessments may utilize physical, chemical, and biological indicators to evaluate the relative effects of various stressors. Now, the buildup of heavy metals in the environment has drawn growing concern from researchers and even policymakers. That's primarily because of their toxicity and persistence and the tendency to accumulate in aquatic flora and fauna. The increasing number of compounds led to the challenges in the assessment of the environment. The quality of water is a criterion in the scientific basis for formulating water quality standards in environmental management. And heavy metal pollution has become a serious environmental problem due to industrialization and urbanization. It may give a an irreversible effect to the human health and major impacts on marine and aquatic organisms, and it can even enter the human body and tend to accumulate over time. Now, regardless of detecting heavy metals in surface water at concentrations within acceptable limits, the long term impacts through bioaccumulation warrant proactive monitoring and management. So, therefore, it emphasized the need for effective community based and collaborative approaches, such as the synergy between major government stakeholders and like the Department of Environment and Natural Resources, Sandro, barangay officials, and residents, including students, no? In addressing environmental challenges. So these efforts integrate governance, community mobilization, and environmental education to promote um, sustainable ecological practices. Virtual exchange can be a powerful tool for promoting environmental stewardship by connecting learners across borders to collaborate on sustainability challenges, share diverse perspectives, and co create solutions. Now, in my study, the focus was to determine first is, of course, the selected physical chemical parameters of the river, the presence of heavy metals, and along in the surface water of this so-called Las Piñas River Drive in the Philippines, and also to explore the role of community-based approaches and collaborative efforts in sustaining the river ecosystem and promoting environmental awareness. The river sorry the study actually provided when we were doing the research, uh, in the river, it provided us information about the types and amounts of heavy metals present in the samples, and the findings would actually raise awareness of the adverse effects of contaminated water with heavy metals, and with the aim to emphasize the importance of heavy metal test checks for irregular levels of toxic or potential um, harmful metals. The results will amplify education campaigns regarding exposure to some toxic metals through food, water, or direct from the environment, which can lead to poisoning when these metals are consumed, and could raise awareness among nearby communities through environmental campaigns and publication for possible inclusion in strategic and master planning of the concerned city governments. Now, all sampling, preservation, and analysis of the surface water samples, which include temperature, the pH, turbidity, and dissolved oxygen, were carried out following the standard methods for examination of water and wastewater. The AAS flame technique was used to determine the presence of heavy metals, and KII with selected barangay officials and community residents was done to understand how community-based approaches and collaborative efforts can sustain the river ecosystem and promotes environmental awareness. Now, this is actually the site. It's a river drive in the Las Piñas City, Philippines, and it's a part of a larger infrastructure project aimed at improving traffic flow and maintaining the cleanliness of the Las Piñas Zapote River, and spans several areas, including barangays and connecting a national road and expressway. And it is designed to control flood, clean up the river, and ease traffic congestion with a road constructed alongside the retaining walls and slope protection structures. So the water samples were collected in areas serving as access point for residents and taken from each section of the site and were regarded as a homogeneous water mass. Now, this slide presents the average values of each parameter obtained from water samples in the river site. And the water quality parameters suggest potential concerns for the health of the river ecosystem, while the pH and temperature are within acceptable ranges. The moderate turbidity and critically low dissolved oxygen levels point to pollution or anthropogenic impacts. So, immediate action may be necessary to address oxygen depletion and its causes, such as nutrient runoff, organic matter accumulation, or inadequate water flow. So, a further investigation into the sources of turbidity and low oxygen level is recommended to preserve the ecosystem's balance. Now, in the next slide, you can actually see that there are heavy metals detected. So the detected concentrations of these heavy metals are considered generally low, suggesting that the riverside is not critically polluted by these heavy metals at present. However, their presence indicates potential anthropogenic influences such as industrial activities, runoff, or urbanization. And these metals could pose risk to the ecosystem if concentrations increase over time due to uncontrolled pollution sources. So the presence of these heavy metals in aquatic ecosystems is a critical environmental concern, as these elements can persist in water and sediment bioaccumulate in organisms and may disrupt ecological balance. The findings underscore the need for comprehensive management of heavy metals in freshwater systems. While current concentrations of these heavy metals are within acceptable ranges, the long term ecological health depends on proactive measures, including source identification and regulation, uh, regular monitoring programs, community awareness, and even remediation technologies. So, the collaborative community-based approaches presented here on this slide exemplify an effective model for sustaining river ecosystems and promoting environmental awareness. So these efforts hinge on multi-stakeholder cooperation with the government agencies, local officials, and the community playing interconnected roles by targeting diverse levels of involvement from institutional to individual. The efforts aim for both immediate action and sustainable long-term change. Now, the focus on education, particularly targeting younger generations, ensures a ripple effect for sustained environmental behavior. So the conduct of seminars and lectures, along as you can see here, along with the provision of flyers, create awareness of proper waste disposal and segregation. So while the approach is commendable, challenges such as the resource limitations, community apathy, or policy enforcement issues might arise. Strengthening institutional support and fostering deeper community engagement could address these hurdles. So, one of the ways by which virtual exchange can be utilized is by engaging students from different countries that can work together on challenge based learning projects that focus on real world environmental issues like water pollution, deforestation, or climate change, which was emphasized in the keynote speech of Professor Fielding yesterday. So, in conclusion, while the pH and temperature levels remain within acceptable ranges in the findings, the moderate rather the moderate turbidity and the critically low DO concentrations raise concerns about the health of the river ecosystem. So these parameters serves as an indicators of underlying ecological stress, which are likely driven by anthropogenic activities. So the immediate interventions combined with long-term conservation strategies are critical to preserving the ecological integrity of the river system. Although concentrations of heavy metals in the river fall within acceptable limits, like what was mentioned earlier, the vigilance is critical to prevent future accumulation and several adverse impacts. So through what we call an integrated management, regular monitoring, and effective stakeholder participation, the heavy metal pollution can be mitigated and safeguarding both biodiversity and water quality for long-term ecological health. So the community-based and collaborative approach outlined earlier demonstrates the power of shared responsibility in ecological preservation. And these efforts align with global principles of participatory environmental management, emphasizing that effective stewardship requires integration, accountability, and collective action. So, building on these initiatives can offer transformative outcomes, not only for the river systems, but for broader environmental challenges. And by adopting an integrated and inclusive framework, the initiative is paving the way for lasting environmental impact. Now, to address the identified challenges, a multi-prong approach is very essential, like enhancing monitoring programs, addressing pollution sources, restoration initiatives, and community involvement and education. So you see, engaging local stakeholders in conservation efforts can enhance compliance with regulatory measures and foster sustainable practices. And then promoting environmental stewardship through virtual exchange, no, by the following, like for example, the building of sustainability competences may utilize tools like virtual reality and environmental games, which I saw from one of the presenters yesterday. And this can simulate ecological systems and human impacts, making learning immersive and impactful. And of course, to foster intercultural dialogue for shared solutions and accessible and inclusive environmental education, especially in remote areas. Now, that concludes my presentation, and thank you for the attention. I'd like to also thank my co-researcher, uh, Ms. Ramolo, and the following people for allowing and helping us conduct this study. Once again, thank you and good day.
Great. Thank you so much, Dr. Mary Grace Maribao, for your wonderful presentation. Yeah, you actually highlight a very, very important environmental problems. That's the pollution. Yeah, because all of us are interacting with the environment, and water is a key resources for our survival. So you did a good work on the river um, assessment, and you suggest recommendation on how we can tackle a collective action is the key to tackle the river conservation. So I have one question. Yeah, because I did some of the environmental pollution assessment in Hong Kong some years ago, and it's always an issue. How can we stop the source? They tackle the source of the problem. And could you enlighten us what's the situation in Philippines or in your study site or area? What's measures or in place in terms of controlling the source of the pollution?
All right. So, with about the control
Mm,
of the sources of pollution, this is the reason why there have been what we call uh, in the Philippines, we call them estero rangers, which are deployed by the Department of Environmental and Natural Resource Office. So these are people who are trained to help the community residents to do at least once a week cleanup of the rivers, okay, near their say for example their villages, okay. And then at the same time, you see, we have not stopped incorporating environmental education in different courses, no, across different programs. Okay,
mhm.
so in some way, I would like to think and I would like to believe that we may be able to, if not control, but let's just say mitigate and um these different sources of pollution. Well, I would be hypocrite to not admit that the problem in pollution is really has become grave already, you know, like we have seen a lot of flooding issues. I guess you have heard about you know, what happened in Texas and what is happening here in the Philippines right now. It's raining again, and
Mm,
flood is can be seen in different places. So Well, I guess we just have to continue promoting environmental education, and then at the same time, I think I still believe that it's never too late, to educate our youngsters, okay, in order to, at least save our planet Earth, okay,
Yeah,
all
yeah,
right.
I totally agree. Yeah, in fact, my second question is environmental education, because I have been doing a lot in environmental education area, developing programs, teaching, especially the younger generation and also
Uh-huh.
student, so that they can develop a love for the nature, for the natural
Hmm.
environment. So
Yes.
we instill the love of nature in them, and so that they can be more proactive in protecting and
Yes.
serving
Yes.
the natural environment. Yeah, so we share the same mission and vision. So maybe
Yes. Yes.
we can follow up to connect so that we can see we can develop some collaboration between your university and Hong Kong Baptist University.
Yes. Yes, sure. Why not? Actually, the De La Salle University of Dasmariñas in the Philippines is one of the schools or university awarded with of sustainability. Uh,
Oh,
yes, yes, yes.
congratulations.
The university is able to maintain, cleanliness, no, and at the same time maintaining also green spaces, and there you go. So I think we can do collaboration, some forms of collaboration.
Yeah. Why not? Okay. Okay. And thank you again, Mary, for your wonderful
Thank
presentation.
you. You're
Sharing.
welcome.
Thank you, Popsy. Thank you, Mary. And thank you, me, for the presentation. And thank you all for joining us for this part of the Virtual Exchange Summit. So please come back to the upcoming sections. So I will see you around. Have a nice day. Cheers. Bye.